Hi, so this is a video on algebraic expressions, simplifying and expanding. So I'm doing a few questions here and I hope you follow closely. Right, so the first one here is a binomial, no, it's two terms, consists of two terms. So what you need to do is you need to simplify. So obviously whenever you are adding, well, there's nothing that happens to the brackets after addition, it still remains the same. It's when you subtract that you have to be a little bit careful. So you just remove the brackets and then you collect like terms. So what I did here is I took the 2a plus the a, so I take a term with its sign, okay, 5 minus 4, and then I simplify. So it's 3a plus 1, and you may not simplify further here because these are unlike terms. So you only simplify like terms, the ones that contain the same variable raised to the same power and the constants. The second one is something similar. If we remove the brackets, also two terms, you realize that I have got x plus x and then 2y minus 6y. So 2y take away 6, you get minus 4y. So I have 2x minus 4y as my final answer in its simplest form. You may not subtract further because 2x and 4y are unlike terms. Right, so here you also have two terms, but you have a negative 1 here, okay? And that negative is changing everything here. Right, so when you multiply over here, you are going to change. Everything is going to become a minus now, for example, for a 3r, and this positive 7s is going to become a minus because a negative times a positive gives you that minus. All right, then I have 4r minus 3r, which is just 1r. Don't necessarily write the 1 there, minus 7s. The next one, something similar. You have a minus here, so it's changing everything inside the bracket. Okay, so if I remove, I have minus y, and then a negative, and a negative gives you a positive. And then I get my 2x plus 3x gives me a 5x, and 3y minus y just gives me a 2y. So let's do some further. You're supposed to expand. Well, negative 7 times negative 8a is 56a, and negative 7 times negative 4 is 28. So here you must multiply over with the 3r, so that gives you 6r squared, r times r, remember, and 3r times 7 gives you 21r. You cannot add because this is r squared, and that is r, and they are unlike terms. Alright, so this negative 5m, you multiply it over, you get negative 15m, and a negative times a negative gives you positive 40m squared. That's 5m times 8m. Right, so here you're also supposed to expand and simplify, so you still have two terms, so you have to multiply the 4k over into the first bracket, and then the 2k over into the second bracket, and when you do that, you get a 12k square minus 8k, then plus 6k square minus 2k. So when I write the like ones together, the 12k square with the 6k square, as they're both positive, they're going to give me 18k squared, and the minus 8k minus 2k gives me minus 10k. This one is similar like that one, so you multiply. 8 times negative d is negative AD. Remember, the number comes in front, the coefficient comes in front. And negative d times negative e is positive DE. Alright, so always try to write them alphabetically. Like here, negative 3e times d, I wrote negative 3DE. You won't be penalized for writing negative ED, 3ED, but it's always better so that you can see that the DE here and this minus 3DE are like terms and they can be simplified further. And once you simplify it further, you get minus 2DE for those terms containing DE. So the final answer is minus 8D minus 2DE plus 6E. Right, so we're supposed to expand binomial times a binomial. I hope you still remember how to do this one. Please have a look at previous videos that you will find on how to multiply such. So the x times the x gives you x squared, the x times the 3 gives you 3x, and then you take the second term of the first bracket, you multiply it by each term in the second bracket. 2 times x is 2x, and 2 times 3 is 6. The ones in the middle can be simplified to 5x, giving you this quadratic trinomial x squared plus 5x plus 6. Right, this is essentially the same thing as just a repeated multiplication by the same expression, so you can go ahead and rewrite it as 1 minus k all squared, and then you go and do the same as you would multiply the 1 times the 1 gives you 1, the 1 times negative k give you negative k by 1 give you negative k, and negative times negative k obviously gives you positive k squared. So what I'm saying, for those of you who still multiply the 1 with that first one, you multiply that by that gives you these two here, okay? And then you then take the second term, which is the negative k, you multiply it with that here, and then the negative k times the negative multiply with that, and that gives you this particular expression. So once you simplify it, well, you can get k squared minus 2k plus 1. If someone was to write like this, it will still be the same thing, okay? All right, still the same thing. Right, so we have got another one here that you are supposed to simplify. So we have got quite a long thing. Might look confusing, but it's not really. So this is not multiplication, it's just here that you must remove the brackets. So since it's a positive, it doesn't affect the signs here. Okay, two terms. So I just remove the brackets. This is positive minus becomes a minus, positive and a positive stays positive, and positive and a minus becomes a minus. All right, then I will write all the terms containing x. The minus 2x goes with the minus 8x, the minus 9y with the positive 7y, a half minus 1.5. All right, so once you are done, you get minus 2x minus 8x give you negative 10x, and negative 9y plus 7y, 7 minus 9 give you minus 2y, and a half minus 1 and a half is just 1, so negative 1. That is the answer there. Okay. Right, so this one is fairly easy. Negative p times negative p gives you p squared. Everything becomes positive because outside you have a negative, inside you have negatives as well. And negative p times negative 1 is negative 1p, but we do not write the 1 there. Alright, so we have got another that you are supposed to simplify. So what you need to be careful is this minus here. It's going to change the sign in each of those brackets. So this is minus 9p, this becomes positive 4q, and this becomes negative 6r. Alright, and then I just write all the terms containing the like terms, like 11p with the minus 9p, the minus 2q with the positive 4q. Alright, minus 5r, minus 6r. Well, you don't have to do it like that, but it helps so you don't make a mistake. 2p plus 2q minus 11r is the answer to that one. Right, so there's a little problem here. At the end, you have a negative that must multiply into that bracket. It's going to change everything there. So the other ones, I remove the bracket simply because it's addition here. Doesn't do anything to the signs, but here a negative and a negative becomes a positive 1, and a negative times a positive becomes a minus n there. Right, so I get all my like terms. 5m plus 2m is 7m, and 2n minus n is n, and obviously negative 4 plus 1 is negative 3. Right, so you have to be a bit careful here. They say subtract t minus 3u minus 2v from. Okay, so the t plus 2u minus 6v must come in front. Okay, and because we are subtracting, it's very important that you put that expression in brackets, because subtraction changes the sign of the bracket, as you can see. My goodness, I'm saying bracket. Okay, so I have got t plus 2u minus 6v minus t. Negative and a negative gives you a positive 3u, and a negative and a negative give you a positive 2v. Now when you collect the like terms, the t minus t, obviously they will cancel. Then you have the 2u plus 3u, okay, that will give me 5u later, and minus 6v plus 2v, that's going to give me minus 4v. So the final answer is 5u minus 4v. The t's cancel obviously out. Right, now here they are supposed to find the sum of x minus 6y, that's one term, or two terms, 10y minus 6z, and 12z minus 4x. Since I must find the sum, nothing will change in terms of the sign. 8x minus 6y plus 10y minus 6z plus 12z minus 4x. You can put them in brackets if you want to, but there's no need. Ultimately, you know, it's not going to do much of a difference. So what I'm referring to is that you might have people saying, well, I must take these two, and I must add it with this, and I must add it with these two at the end. Ultimately, it gives you the same thing as the brackets, as if the brackets were not there, because we're not subtracting anything from anything. Makes it much more easy. Now what I did is I collected the like terms, 8x minus 4x, and the 10y minus 6y, and then the 12z minus 6z, ultimately giving me a final answer of 4x plus 4y plus 6. Alright, plus 6z. So make sure that you are very careful when it comes to a negative number. Expand and simplify the following. So you first have to multiply, so that a plus 3 times a minus 1 first, because that's a term on its own. So what I did is I put them in square brackets, and when you do a times a, you get a squared. A times negative 1 is minus a, and 3 times a is 3a, and 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. Now I clean up in the middle here, I get 3a minus a is 2a. Now since I'm adding, I can just drop the brackets because it's not going to change the sign, and the only thing that needs to happen is that 7 must be added with this negative 3, leaving you with a squared plus 2a plus 4 as the final answer. So you have two terms similar here. There are many ways you can do it. So what I did, I multiplied the 4 first into the first bracket, and then I multiplied the brackets together. So 4 times y gives you 4y, and 4 times negative 5 gives you 20. Negative 20. Right, so I'm going to, and then I also multiply negative 3 times 2y is negative 6y, and a negative times a negative gives you a positive. 3 times 7 is 21. Right, so these two, then you multiply 4y. So I hope you still remember, as I said, this is basic stuff. You need to go and make sure that 4 times y is 4y here squared, and 4 times 1 is 4y, and then minus 20 times y gives you minus 20y, and minus 20 times positive that gives you that. So then I just get my like terms together. 4y squared on its own, minus 16y, that is 4y positive minus 20, and then you have got obviously minus 20 here, and then minus 6y plus 21. So if I clean everything up, I'm going to get 4y squared minus 16y minus 6y plus 21 minus 20. So final answer is 4y squared minus 22y plus 1. Right, this one is tricky, but you must please make sure you read it correctly. It says subtract this expression from the sum of a squared minus 2b plus 11 and 6a squared minus 2b plus minus 4. So you first have to add those two. Alright, so I add a squared minus 2b plus 11 plus 6a squared minus 2b minus 4, and then I will subtract. Very important that you put brackets here for where you subtract. Okay, so if I were to simplify and get the sum, eventually I end up with 7a squared minus 4b plus 7. Now I'm going to subtract that 13a squared minus 11b minus 6. So brackets are there. Now I'm going to remove the brackets. So when I remove the bracket, it's going to change the signs there. Okay, so pause, have a look as to how I got to this. So eventually, finally, I'm going to have 7a squared minus 13a squared, get all the like terms together, and all the b's and all the numbers. So my final answer is minus 6a squared plus 7b plus 13.